Hello Flosstube, my name is Mariam, my pronouns are she, her. I'm a cross stitcher and a cross stitch designer, and this is my channel about cross stitch. You may also find me on Etsy under the same name, Mariam Designs, and also on Instagram under the same name, Mariam Designs. If you're looking for my shop, my designs, my pages, all of that will be down below. Okay, let's get it started. I have not been recording in a while and I am out of practice. I feel a little awkward and I look a little different. So yeah, a lot has happened in the past couple of months, but let's not talk about that. If you're interested about why I look different, I'm gonna give you a very short, very concise, rapid fire, possibly answer to possible questions at the end of the video. But I'm not gonna address it now because it's not relevant to what we're gonna talk about, which is all cross stitch. All right, so we're gonna do this. All right, so I have fully finished objects. I have finishes, a lot of finishes, because I have not been recording. I worked on a few other projects, and also I had a release in the past couple of months. So let's just start with the release first, because I feel like if I don't do it now, I'll forget about it because it's not physical. I don't see it, and if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. So let's do that first. So I released the pattern at the beginning of almost beginning of November, and it looks like this, and it's called Shahmaran. So I'm gonna keep the image right here while I'll talk about it. So Shahmaran is based on a folklore mythical creature by the same name, which literally translates into king of serpents. And you can find this character and this design, this motif used in regions of northwest regions of Iran, which like people that live in that region are mostly Iranian Turks, and also in the Kurd area, which is on the west of Iran, and also in the Kurdistan, of course, and parts of Turkey, and anywhere that you find Turkic and Kurd people, plus some of the nomadic people of Iran in other regions have adapted and used the same motif as well. So you see her pop up here and there. So I don't like the origin, like the most popular origin story and the folklore that is attached to this character, but I mostly like what she symbolizes now. So she's a woman. It's a combination of woman and a serpent, or serpents. She is symbolizes knowledge, giving, and the balance between different parts of nature. She has become a symbol, and has been for a while now, a symbol of LGBTQIA community, especially in Turkey. They have used the symbol in their protests. They spread on. They have banners with the same symbol of Shahmaran on it, and they use that as a symbol. And it's also specifically more symbolizes the trans community in Turkey. So yeah, so that's the symbolism there. And also it is a symbol of knowledge and power in a feminine form. I released it after the election result. However, this was on the back of my mind, and I've been working on and off on it for a while, and for whatever reason it would not come together. Like it will fight me. Like, you know, I don't know if you have dealt with any of like those creative like blocks that you're working on something and for whatever reason it's not cooperating with you, and she was not cooperating with me whatsoever. So whatever I did, it would not come to being, and I had to scratch this design, I think total of 4 times before this last time. But this time when I sat, I still had like the what is happening in the world, all the talks about the election, what will be the result. This was before election, and I sort of like had the premonition of what is coming. I wasn't really, you can call me a cynic, I wasn't really hopeful. So there was no hope anyway with the rhetoric. This is beside the points. So I started designing again, working on this design, and it came together. It came together in one night, most of the bulk of the design, and then I came back to it for the second night, and it was done. So yeah, I've been working on it for months, but it didn't come together until when it was time for it to come together. So now it's available on my Etsy shop. If you you know, like the pattern, please support me, and you can find a link down below. You can get your copy there. I'm gonna try not to edit this video heavily because I have a feeling it's not going to be that long anyway, and also I feel like I do need to come back and sometime mid December or toward the end of December to record more in detail of like year in review and plans for 2025 and all the other things, and I'm going to talk about all of that in the next video. For now, we're going to just catch up with all the projects that I have worked on so far, and I have not been you know, recording anything. Didn't record anything about it, so I have not talked about them. All right, so let's talk about my only FFO. So as some of you who have followed my journey may know, I love a good practical fully finished object. So yes, I have some framed, mainly of my own designs. I have them framed up there, but majority of my finishes so far have been made into project bags, either for myself or to gift to my friends, my stitchy friends. I love to finish my projects into bags because I love touching them, and I know this is like something that is like might be a controversial opinion. I do love to touch my work, and I know that it might result in tear and, you know, messing up the stitches over time and some fraying and, you know, being used, but I actually like that. I actually like to see my finishes in a way that I can touch and love them and use them. I like a stitch that is actually being used. So yeah, so this time around, inspired by a fully finished that an EGA member was done. She went into like finishing class and she learned how to sew a tote bag, and I was like, ooh, that was a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, oh, that's a fantastic idea, because I do did want to update my tote that I would take to EGA meetings. EGA, by the way, is Embroidery Guild of America, and I'm a member of the Windy City chapter. If you're in our area, please join. You can even join online if you cannot be physically in the meetings. We're a bunch of fun cooks. Most of us are old cooks. Some of us are a little younger. I am like part of a younger crowd, so it's not that young, but anyway, I took a page of inspiration of that and finished my frog, which is a pattern by Sarah ModCross, and I finished it into a tote. This is the back. This is the inside. This should be a pocket, but I actually sewed it, so it's not a pocket, it's just a panel on the front. But you can make it into a pocket if you want to. I found a tutorial for this tote on YouTube, but I adjusted the size. I made it a little bigger so I can fit the panel on it. So it was shorter and a little narrower, so I just adjusted. I basically added, I think, 2-inch height and to the width of the size of the bag, so I can actually fit the panel in the middle. So yeah, so here's my frog tote bag, and I am going to use this as my EGA meeting tote bag. So I'm gonna put my whips and stuff that I need to take with me to the meeting and stitch on and use it that way. All right, now that is it in terms of fully finished object. That's I rarely fully finish it, stuff anyway. So now I have a few finishes and I'm going to share with you. First one, some of this, like, I feel like, oh, I should have, you know, I think I showed this, but I have gone back and checked my Instagram, and I don't think I have actually showed any of these, and that shows how long ago was it the last time I actually recorded. But so the first one is 1 dozen Quaker but Rosewood Manor, and this was a Sal, give me a dozen, bake me a dozen Sal by EJ. EJ from Sunshine Stitchers started it, and I stitched this on 16 count Ada in red tail, hand dyed by Mislaid Pages, and I used a 1 strand of SanJo Silk, which is actually yarn for machine, basically making machine knitted shawls and stuff, like garment, but this silk is fluffy enough, is thin enough to easily be worked on 18 count at 16 to 18 count Ada. So yeah, and this is the color Moss, and I intentionally chose this color because, as you see, there is a peekaboo effect here. So some parts it just blends in the background and you don't see it, and I actually like this. So yeah, so this is done. The Sal is coming to an end by the end of December, so I would say this was a really easy and fun Sal to be part of, and I'm glad that I was able to actually finish the project. Right, next, so I wanted to make sure that I have finished a few of my older projects from 2022, because for me those are the old projects that I have now. In 2021 I was monogamous stitcher. I don't have any project left from that time. In 2022 I started adding projects, and I added more than one project. I started this stash, my whip stash, and from then I went on. But some of those patterns that I started in 2022, I feel like I needed to just be done with it, finish it, and also free to floss, hashtag free to floss. Thank you, Julie from Julie in Stitches 16, who started this hashtag, because we have a lot of like projects that we have started, but for whatever reason we are not really working on, or whatever, they're just sitting there, and they're basically holding a lot of our flosses and material hostage. So I needed to work on some of those so I can free those flosses. So one of those was this, which is Tom's Foolery by Hands Across the Sea. So I was able to finish it. This is absolutely amazing sampler. I love this sampler, and I did a conversion, my own color palette, to sulky. So this was in DMC, and I think there was like a version of Fancy Floss, but I used sulky. So basically I looked at the photo and I tried to pick colors that would work with that. The only modification that I did was in this area. So this was an Adam and Eve kind of situation in this corner, but I changed it into Crowley and Aziraphale from Good Omen. So there's a TV show poster of them that is like exactly like they're sitting by the tree of life, and there is the trees in behind them, and there was a snake around the tree, and then them sitting by it. So I just basically was like, this is exactly that, so I'm gonna just use it. This was so much fun. Yeah. And then so EGA, we have like different classes every time we attend a meeting. Majority of the month we have a special program, and sometimes that special program includes like something that we teach. They teach us like a specific technique, a skill, kind of a stitch, media, a different kind of medium so for people who are maybe like me are only cross stitchers, this is a great way to be exposed to other ways of fiber art. So they did have a needlework workshop, and I signed up and I got the whole like kit and on canvas, and I started it there in the class, and they were really helpful to get me started, and I could not set it down, so I stitched on it until it was done. And if you look, there's so many different, and this is so sparkly as well, there's so many different interesting stitches in this. So yep. And then I have a big finish that I sort of spoiled with the thumbnail, so you already know it's coming. I was able to finish like a potty. Just look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? Let me give you a close-up. Yeah, she is gorgeous. So I stitched her using called for threads, except for beads. I didn't do any beading. If you see this flat, that's because I replaced all the beads with Petite Treasure braid, so it's all like metallic threads instead. And I stitched it on 18 count Mystic fabric in Night Sky Jennifer. So, and if you're not familiar with Lekapati, which is a goddess of fertility and abundant harvest in Philippines, she is depicted as a trans woman. So this is a trans woman. She's a trans woman, and she's brown. So I'm so happy that this is my first fancy lady. So my first fancy lady is a brown queer lady. No, correction. brown queer goddess, because she's a goddess. I love her. I definitely will frame her. Yeah. Probably, I know it's gonna be like too much, but she is. She's worth it. I'm probably gonna frame her in a gold frame, because why not? And if you wonder what my back looks like, this is the back. Not bad, huh? Not bad at all. Have some carryover, but not bad. Right. And then last finish is Cuckoo Bird. With heart and hands. So I just adjusted, this said 2023, I changed it to 2024. This is on 20 count cashmere blue, I think, and I used Cottage Garden thread in Golden Golly, and there were like some tiny beading. So this was the first time I actually used any beads on the pattern. I was like, you know what, let's just give it a shot and see how it feels. So I might try it more, but you know, not bad. And then I think I have not shown this one either. So this is the last finish. So I am stitching, participating in another style, which is a Stitch for Pride 2024 style, designed by these 20 stitches, and he has designed 12 different little patterns, each representing and inspired by a queer artist, and they have been released once per month. So I have it, I'm not up to date, so I need to add November, which goes right here, and I'm sure by the time you will watch this, December will be out and it will go right in the middle. But from the last time I showed you, this is Edward Gorey's October pattern, which I have to say I think is one of my absolute favorite ones. I mean, I like them all, but I think I really like this one. So yeah, yep. And this is on 36 count determination, hand dyed by Mislaid Pages, and the threads are called for threads, and you know, limited edition pack that were released was released exactly for this style, hand dyed by Jasmine from Knitting Nurse. And yeah, so you're not going to be able to get your hands on the flosses or the pattern by that matter, because it was limited edition. It's not out. At some point in the future, I know Dee has said that they're probably going to release them individually sometimes, maybe. Even that is not guaranteed. All I can tell you is I know that the 2025 sign up will come up really soon, and if you feel like you missed out on this, sign up for next year. It looks like you're going to be amazing, because already, like, there was a sort of a preview sneak peek on of the threads that are being hand dyed especially for the style. Amazing color palette already, so I'm already like really pumped about it, and I pretty much hope that I don't miss out on. I'll be pissed if I miss out on the packs. Yeah. Okay. All right, and so that's all of my finishes. Now I have a few, let's see, 1, 2, 3 whips to talk about. First one that I'm going to talk about is Free Palestine. It was a freebie, it still is a freebie by Button Fork Embroidery, Jacob. And yeah, it's on the website. If you go to his website, it's available. And I took it out because it was a year since this whole madness has started, and I was feeling very down, so I needed to pick me up. So here it is. I think fabric is 36 count. This is a printed fabric. I think it's parchment. I don't know. And I'm using a sulky blendable in, I think, pink chocolate or something like that. And then the red is Anchor Red. I stopped here because the phrase in the middle, I am recharting. So I'm going to rechart the center to say from the river to the sea. And then have the other half on the underneath and, you know, finish the pattern. So I haven't done the recharting, so we're waiting. Next, for Trans Day of Remembrance, and also in anticipation and you know, to celebrate Dee's birthday, I had this was a limited edition pattern that was released for Dee's top surgery, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and got my hands on it at that time, so I added a little bit more stitching to it. This is 18 count even weave in navy, I think, and I'm using sulky colors, and I have changed the color palette. By the way, the design looks like this, so I'm gonna have it right there so you see what it looks like. Dee charted it on black, but I wanted to have mercy on my eyes, so I'm doing it on blue. And I like the vintagey vibe that it, you know, it has on the blue. So, and then after all that finishes, so right now I don't have any other whip that is even close to being finished. So I have a bunch of barely started projects, like with tiny, like very pathetic starts. And also I do have a couple that are really set aside to be restarted, so that's coming. And then a few gigantic projects that I have, like maybe I finished a page or 2 or 3 on them, but I have way you know, I have a lot left, like I'm at 25%, 20%, 10% of the whole project. So that means that I'm not going to have a lot of those like finishes that I have been having in the past couple of months until like until the end of year. You know, in 2025 I am starting a sale that will basically generate at least, fingers crossed, 40 finishes for me next year automatically. So I'm not worried about that, because they're like it's going to be like a stitching a small piece of big mostly big projects on a sampler, a spot sampler myself, and then moving on from that, you know, pattern. So that is what's coming next year. So I'm sort of like prepping for that, because the rest of my whips are things that I will be working on for quite some time. So except for a Stitch for Pride. So my goal is to definitely finish November and December releases for in the month of December before the year ends, because I do definitely want to keep up with 2025 sales. So that's another sale that's coming up and I want to work on it. Anyway, all that to say, I had decided to pick up some of those pathetic tiniest start projects and added a little bit more to it, so they're not pathetic. So this is Legend of Lake Geneva, and yeah, definitely something that I barely had anything on it. So I'm stitching on that. I was in the middle of the stitching on it, which when I stopped. So I have threads hanging. Usually I don't have threads hanging, but here we go. So when I picked it up, I only had this little top part and this much of the side. So now I added a little bit of this line, and because just stitching a line is boring, I started it with this motif, the flower, and then the tail of the merman that I am, or mer person. I don't know if it's a, yeah, it doesn't, yeah, you can't tell. So this is tail of that mer person that I am stitching on now. So yeah, this is 20 count. I don't know what the fabric is. I have a feeling this was one of Jody's fabrics. I mean, it feels like one of Jody's fabrics. But Cedar River Linen and Design, basically that fabric. But I don't have the piece of paper that says what the name of the fabric is. So, and I don't see it on the pattern. Anyway, so that's what I have now. And that is it in terms of all of my webs. Yeah. In terms of purchases or investments, this is like investment slash plans. Yep. So Sunshine Stitchers, like EJ, who put up the bake me a dozen Quaker. I don't remember. I put the life of me, I always got that mixed up. The finish that I showed you, that Sal, they set up another that starts on the 15th of December, and it's a put a bird on it Sal. It's a pattern by Modern Fork Embroidery, and I really didn't want to. This was not a plan. I said no, because I was having my own, I was gonna do my own sale, and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna start another sale because I'm gonna work on my own, and didn't want to have another big giant project that I have, you know, I committed to. But I was like, you know, we meet up with, like, I meet up with my friends from, we call ourselves Quad City Needle Minders. It's me, Nitya from Daybreak Stitchery, Sarah from ModCross, and Julie from Julie in Stitches 16, and we all like meet up once a year in person, and then the rest of the year we meet up at least once a month. We have been able to keep up with that over Zoom. So, and we talk and we stitch, and sometimes we just quietly stitch, and sometimes we talk about different things, our plans, and we enable each other. And that's amazing to have a group of friends that you can rely on, and you can, you know, vent if you need venting, if you need enabling, we can enable each other, and then we can stitch together and, you know, share that hobby with, you know, with each other. So I was not at all planning to buy this pattern. I was not at all planning to start and participate in the sale. Not at all. I refused to, and I saw a lot of people joining in. I said, no, not doing it, not doing it. And then we had our Zoom call. And then Nitya talked about her plan and how she already started hers and has been able to stitch a whole chunk on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing it. So here I am, after saying no, I am participating in. I haven't chosen my fabric and floss yet. Let me tell you how big this is. This is 201 height in 201 by 201. So in 201 by 201 is like square. So 201 stitches a square. Not bad. It's bigger than last year's, like this 2024 sale that we just finished. It's definitely going to be bigger, but it's quicker, right? And this is what I'm hoping, that is because it's quicker, it's going to be quicker. This is not going to be that difficult to keep up with and catch up and all of that. I haven't decided if I want to do this monochrome or I want to like choose a color palette for it. I do have a few very colorful fabrics that I'm tempted to stitch this monochrome or maybe in limited colors on that those bright color fabrics. I haven't decided yet, so we'll see. I still have time until 15th, so I'll make my decision by then, and then I'll start with everyone else. So we'll see. So yeah, so that's my investment. I bought a couple more of Jacob's patterns, but there are PDFs and I have not printed them out, so I'm not going to show you. If I remember in the next video that I'm recording, I'll let you, and I'll share that with you. But I mean, go to his page. He comes up with I feel like he comes up with new releases every couple weeks, and not just one. He just comes and releases 2, 3, 4, 5 patterns all at once. So anyway, sometimes, you know, I like to imagine that in my head I'm competing with him, but who am I kidding? He's the king, and there's a reason why he's the king. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, this is it. All the stitchy stuff is done. I'm gonna share update on books in the next video as well. I'm gonna just round up all the books that I have read in the year of 2024 up to that moment that I'm gonna record, and then talk about that as well. But now, as promised, I'm gonna just quickly address what you see and all the changes and just move on, because this is not show and tell. It's not going to be like debate in any way. This has been a personal choice. It does not have to do anything with the new climate and all the changes. It just happened to be happening around the same time. It was planned. It was a long time in the making. It was through a lot of like thinking and reflecting, and this is a completely personal decision. I'm not deconstructing or whatever you want to call it. I'm still completely identify as Muslim, and I hold those beliefs that I hold on to, you know, and this was a personal choice. And I feel like I knew that getting closer to my 40s, which this coming January I'm turning 40, I wanted to be the truest I can be to myself and to my beliefs, and not consider anyone else's emotions and feelings and thoughts to basically influence how I want to present myself or how I want to live my life. So that's all I want to share about that. And also I reserve the right to change my mind again and go back, or, you know, change my appearance. Just how I decided now. Anyway, so that's the only time I'm going to talk about it, and we're going to move on. And yes, my hair is curly, and yes, this is my natural color. I damaged my hair severely during pandemic because I was dyeing my hair all colors of the rainbow, because I was bored like a lot of other people, and so I damaged my hair. I damaged my hair beyond, you know, saving. And then I let it grow an inch and so, and then did a big chop, and now I'm growing it. And some days I like the gray, some days I'm like, I don't know. So for now, the gray is out, and the curls do what they want to do. I literally have no control over them. So that's about it. Okay. All right, so I hope as much or as little decision as you do, you enjoy it. Please still speak up about what's happening around us and in the world. So free Palestine, and protect all the indigenous people and their rights. And also, when we are talking about protecting people, don't forget our queer siblings, especially our trans siblings these days have been, you know, getting targeted left and right. And so do what you can do to protect them, and whether it's like a small amount that you can donate, or if you can share, or if you have a person in your life who is queer or identifies as trans, or if you have people from indigenous communities that are being targeted. If you know someone who's immigrant and you know that they might be fearful these days, reach out, check in, and see what you can do. You'll be surprised. Sometimes the smallest things, the smallest acts of kindness changes someone's day from 0 to 100. So be that person, be that voice. And when you see something is not right, speak up, especially if you have privilege. If you have the privilege of the skin color, nationality, religious freedom in this country, if you by any way and means are granted access, accommodation, rights above other people, and believe me, no matter where we stand on the spectrum, and you know, in terms of like privilege, we all have a little bit of privilege over someone else who doesn't. So look into that and be their voice with permission, and make sure that you're not taking the spotlight, right? It's about someone else. So being there, helping others and highlighting their situation is the most important thing. All right, so yeah, as much or as little stitching as you can do. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it brings you peace, and I see you soon. Bye.